Actually wanted to talk about this yesterday, but State of the Union was on the night before, and so we had to address that. However, earlier in the week, I had a conversation with you guys and I said, this Fani Willis case is absolutely the greatest thing to ever happen to us. It's going to be the story of 2024. It could very much be one of the determining factors for whether or not the election goes the way that it goes. So many moving parts, so many butterfly moments or butterfly effect moments, right? And one of the things that we was able to uncover through the testimony of Ashley Merchant, who was the person that Terrence Crawford, or whatever his name is, Terrence Bradley or Crawford, I forgot what his name is. He basically was trying to get some box from the white girl. Then he threw his partner, Nathan Wade, under the bus. We wind up finding out that Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, who made a whole bunch of money, pay for play, kickbacks, illegally moving, doing things without any kind of oversight, and basically left up to their own indiscretions. Not only did they have a relationship amongst themselves on the behalf of the taxpayers, but possibly, allegedly, could quite possibly be one of the biggest stories that we're trying to cover up, and it is not being covered on any black community website, on any black community tab. Nobody is really having this conversation except for a couple people. Shout out to Nate the lawyer, shout out to the lead attorney. But in reality, very few people are really addressing this, especially the women. Women have denied and just absolutely ignored. And I don't know if all of these women are also AKAs like Fani Willis and Kamala Harris or what. But let me bring you up to speed, because Kamala Harris in the White House has responded. But before we get into what the response is, I want to make sure that we all on the same page and that you guys absolutely understand exactly what's going on. So this is what Ashley Merchant, who was a lawyer for one of the defendants that is being accused and a co-conspirator along with Trump, has discovered based off of geolocation, White House records, Freedom of Information Act. And so what they discovered was this. This is what she testified to. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm also.
Or can you confirm whether or not Ms. Willis or Mr. Wade were coordinating with the Biden White House in the course of this investigation and prosecution?
I mean, the discovery, they've got, a lot of our discovery involves the January 6th. I mean, a lot of what we have in discovery is the same stuff that other places have. So they had to have gotten it from somewhere. And they also, they read a lot of the testimony. They played testimony in the special purpose grand jury. So, I don't know how they got all of that, but they got it somehow. And then, there's one of the other things
Hey, look at Tisha. Look at crazy. Look at the crazies. Look at the women that continue to vote for the people that's worse for us. Look, this woman is crazy. I don't care if she slept with 50 men in her personal life. It's nobody's business. It's absolutely our business. Because if you then leverage taxpayer dollars, our money, in order to pay this guy, overpay this guy that was not even qualified to work on the cases that he worked on. And then you had a secret meeting at the White House in order to establish something in order to influence the election. Then that means that you're basically doing the very thing that you accusing the person that you prosecuting of. And then you're using taxpayer dollars to do it, and you're doing kickbacks. See, it's not just the fact that she was busting it open for a real one. It's the fact that she lied, and she's supposed to be a public figure that is elected on the behalf of the people to do the thing that's in the best interest of the people. It's why he was busting you down. It's the fact that you use other people's money, the public's money, in order to do so. It's the fact that every single day a new detail comes out that basically shows that you foul. You foul. And these women will sit here and support this because the only thing they care about is being on code, and who they don't like, instead of basically understanding how ethics work. They gave you a class in school that was supposed to, in college or in high school, that was basically about ethics, how you had to be ethical and moral, especially if you're a public servant, to do the thing that's on the best behalf of the people, not be influenced and not do things dirty. So I don't care if you support her or not. We gonna throw this hoe under the bus. She dirty and she's standing on the pulpits and leveraging ancestors from before her that actually fought for the behalf of black people to do things and have the rights that they have today. And she's leaning on that and leaning on being in the Victim Olympics, saying that she a woman and she a black woman in order to be able to get her shit off. Give a fuck about who you support and the fact that you for the streets and that she slept with 50 people. I don't give a fuck about that. The only thing that matters is the truth, and we gonna get to the bottom of it.
I did a open records for the White House access, and we had records that Ms. Willis and the mayor of Atlanta were at meeting with the vice president.
Okay, and so this is the access history. How does that work? The White House keeps records of anybody that comes in and has any kind of official meeting, for sure?
Yes, and my understanding is it's highly regulated who can access the White House, and so you have to apply in person or apply ahead of time, and then they give you a time when you make the appointment, and they give you a time when you're allowed to be in and when you have to be out by, and they track you. And I mean, that makes sense. They don't want.
Man, look, now she throwing shots. Typical black man, typical black hoe is in my chat, and you subscribe just to say this. Typical black man. Yeah, typical black hoe. You. Same thing. See, you talking to a real one right now, baby. I'm different. I'm not the type of guy that's going to sit here and turn the other cheek. I don't believe that women should be able to just get away with it just because they're a woman. I'm going to put you in your fucking place. I'll snatch that wig up off your head. I know you got pieces in your head. I'll snatch that fucking wig off your head. You get out of line. Keep playing games. Keep playing games. Listen, this ain't after hours. We'll get that wig up out of you. All that masculinity, all of that tough talk. Bust that BBL wide open. You talking to a real one. I don't give a fuck. I am not the one. I will drag you through the fucking mud and I will destroy you all day long. I have no tolerance for people that think that they can say whatever they want to say and then get away with it, and I'm supposed to turn the other cheek. I ain't Shannon Sharp. This ain't Club Shay Shay. Oh, hood rat, get on out of here.
Anybody lingering in the White House, but they keep that, and so they're called WAVE records, I believe is what they're called, and I'm not sure what that's an acronym for, but they're publicly available. They're open records.
And this record that's shown on the screen shows Fani Willis was a visitor with V. POTUS. I presume that's Vice President of the United States.
Yes, it was.
And what was the date of that back in? Was that February sometime of 23?
February 28, 2023.
Is that before the indictment?
Yes.
Okay. Any further explanation of why Ms. Willis was meeting with the Vice President of the United States?
No. I know Dexter Bonds, and I believe that's the same one that Mr.
And don't mute her either. Like, don't time her out. Don't do none of that. Don't mute her. Let her get her shit off. And we're going to snatch that blonde wig right up off her head. So anyways, let's get back. We don't want to be distracted. We know that the people like to distract you from the truth. But the reality is that this great white woman, this phenomenal white woman, opposite of Trish, basically displayed and showed you evidence to show that the Atlanta mayor, Fani Willis, and then whoever it is, but they said it on there as the vice president, V. POTUS, the Vice President of the United States of America, had a secret meeting before they ever even came up with anything that they could say that Trump did to where they can try to influence what was going on. But we don't know what was really happening. All we know is it really happened. But, however, the White House is now trying to protect the White House, and they're trying to protect themselves from election 2024. And how are they doing it? They're denying, even though it says in the public records that they met with the Vice President of the United States of America and they was there for 5 hours. 5 hours or more. Freedom of information. This is not a secret. This is not a discovery. This is not just hearsay. This is public record. Public record. They're basically telling you that, hey, they met, they went to Atlanta, they out there busting it down for a real one, and they linked up with Kamala Harris. We don't even know what they said. Man, all those conversations should be recorded. Neither here nor there. But they're basically saying, hey, listen, Kamala Harris didn't directly meet with him. Okay.
Can he do it? President Biden has to reach and vault over a high bar of expectation tonight. His State of the Union address will have to make some Democrats more comfortable with his ability to finish out 4 more years. One political scientist puts it this way: the challenges that Joe Biden has within his own party, his own base, are the biggest challenges he's facing in this election. He has a lot of issues with younger voters in the party. I think that can be directly linked to what's happening overseas in the Middle East. That's one quote. And we're also seeing that play out in primary contests so far, where hundreds of thousands of Democrat voters in several states voted uncommitted or no preference over the president's policy on the Israel-Hamas war. Die-hard supporters, though, have his back.
We're a purple state. I'm not worried. I know what we got to do. We got to roll up our sleeves and do our job.
It's significant. I don't think, look, the president's winning overwhelmingly, and I don't in the primaries, and I don't think this is going to affect his vote total, but it is going to affect his turnout and base.
I don't think we should be concerned about this as a political matter. I would hope that the president doesn't make decisions about what to do in Gaza or the Middle East based upon how the votes line up.
Now the president is wooing Nikki Haley voters after she dropped out of the race this week. A campaign spokesperson said this.
I think Nikki Haley's voters have made it very clear exactly who they are. These are the voters who have agreed with Nikki Haley when she stood up to Trump. So if you agreed with Nikki Haley when she stood up to Trump for things like election denialism or the chaos and division that he represents, there is, in fact, going to be a home for them in Joe Biden's campaign.
Trey Gowdy, former federal prosecutor and host of Sunday Night in America. All right, set it up. It's the closing argument for President Biden.
I want to get straight to the part where they're denying that she even showed up into the White House.
Way, but if he's got some performance, I'll guarantee you, if you poll House Democrats, Nervous Harris as Lindsey Graham in a spelling bee while they are listening to him tonight in his transcripts.
Oh, my goodness.
It's not just me that.
Just at the length of speeches. So the longest on record for the State of the Union, this is since 1964 on record, was Bill Clinton, January 2000, at $1:25. There's Biden. The last time Barr is.
I've heard good speeches, and our Mason has the mental being open. Those are your reasons.
I take it you were giving us examples of what can happen if he falls asleep. All right, so let's get to this. The White House.
Or go to Beetlejuice in Colorado. Yes.
Oh, goodness. The White House fired back after defense attorney Ashley Merchant testified yesterday about a meeting between District Attorney Fani Willis and Vice President Kamala Harris. Merchant cited evidence that Willis visited the White House in February of 2023. That's just months before a grand jury in Georgia indicted President Trump in the state's election interference case. Fani Willis is, of course, prosecuting that case and facing disqualification for misconduct because she was having an affair with the man that she hired as the highest paid prosecutor on the case, and it just gets more tawdry from there. We've all watched the drama play out. The White House claims the vice president was hosting an event attended by hundreds of black leaders and that she did not directly speak with Willis. Here's some of Merchant's very interesting testimony.
I did open records for the White House access, and we had records that Ms. Willis and the mayor of Atlanta were at meeting with the vice president. And he told me, they met at hotels. He would go to her place. There was a period of, I think it's 15 or 16 days where he did not have a contract. Which also happened to be one of the times they were out of town. So they re-upped the contract. The cap was significantly higher.
So that was not the courtroom because that ended about a week ago. This is inside the Georgia State Senate special committee investigating Willis's affair with Nathan Wade. We showed you parts of this live. I just want to get your reaction to that, Trey.
I just want people to understand, heroes, that this is not the way 99.9% of all prosecutors in this country conduct themselves on either side of the aisle. These are politicians masquerading as prosecutors, and it will be the undoing of our justice system. Now, whether or not a judge finds that this is sufficient to disqualify the prosecutors, I'm not sure that helps Trump. I'd rather have two people who don't know what they're doing prosecute me than go find two people who actually do. The larger point is weaponizing our justice system, whether it's the federal or the state level, it will be our undoing. What I'd like to know more about are these meetings between Fani Willis or Nathan Wade and the White House, because that level of political coordination should discuss people of all political ideations.
Well, look, Brent Tolman told me yesterday, former prosecutor, I know you know him, he said that you could get to the end of this where you've got ethical crimes being committed. I mean, some of the things that they were doing really should not have been happening if, in fact, this had anything to do with a president who was pushing against an opponent. Like, was the justice system actually being used? He now.
Listen, this is what it comes down to. This is basically what it comes down to. It's foul. And usually if it starts to stink and it smells foul and they got these special, listen, think about it like this. Why would the Atlanta mayor, Nathan Wade, and Fani Willis, right before they filed these trumped up 91 charges against Trump, why would they be meeting at the White House for over 5 hours? Why wasn't this disclosed in the first place? Why does it say specifically that they met with the Vice President of the United States of America? Every single day, the rabbit hole gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and they won't even directly speak to it through a representative. Oh man, she didn't directly meet with them. What was discussed? I'm curious. What exactly was discussed? And the only reason that we know this is because it is a requirement for security purposes for people to disclose how long they're going to be there and exactly what time they're going to leave, because they don't want any kind of breaches in security at the White House. It's the only reason that we know it. And then we have the technology also in order to basically triangulate or look at their geo position, the geofencing that allows for us to see exactly what towers is being pinged from on their personal cell phones that they're using every single day.